3-4 times a year. We got together with them. It was me and my team. It was the tax professional on their team. It was the estate planner on their team. It was the business attorney on their team, all in one board meeting. Throughout the day, each discipline would come in and meet with that family. It wasn't really until I had that experience with that family, and then really getting to see you and your team in action with all the disciplines, that was a real eye-opener, right? How do we bring that to the millionaire next door?
Starting your route to retirement.
Welcome to the Guided Retirement Show. I'm your host, Dean Barber. This is episode 95, and I am pleased to announce my special guest on episode 95 is Jason Gordo. He is the president of Modern Wealth Management. Our topic today is the importance of having an entire team working for you during your retirement years. As you plan to get to retirement and through retirement, it's important that you think of yourself as the CEO of your retirement and you've got the right team backing you up. Please enjoy my conversation with Jason Gordo, president of Modern Wealth Management. Before we hop into today's episode, I want to remind our listeners and viewers that you can access the same financial planning tools we use for our own clients on your own time and all from the comfort of your own home. All you need to do is visit the link in the show notes and click the Start Planning button. From there, you can start building your retirement plan, no cost, no obligation. Jason Gordo, president of Modern Wealth Management, thank you for being here on the Guided Retirement Show.
Well, thanks for having me, Dean. I'm excited to have this discussion with you.
We think about the wealth management industry. Of course, I've been in the wealth management industry for 37 years, and you're not old enough to have been in the wealth management industry for 37 years yet, but you've got an awful lot of experience. And we know, Jason, that there are a lot of different sectors of the wealth management industry, but most people have the unfortunate situation where they get to work with an individual, a financial advisor, maybe even not a CFP. And you and I both know that there's a lot of people with different credentials that can all call themselves financial advisors. So that's a very loose term that I think that people really need to understand, that all financial advisors are not created equal, to set the stage here.
Yeah, amen. So no, not 37 years. You're right. You're much older than I am. I'm teasing. I started this business 23 years ago, almost to the day, actually. It was about a year before 9/11. And I remember I got my certificate that said I was licensed, and they called me a financial advisor, and I didn't have a clue that I didn't have a clue. Yeah, right. I mean, just because you passed a test at 25 years old, I guarantee you I had no business providing advice or guidance to anybody. This is a business that you learn how to do over a long period of time. And you're right. I mean, there are a lot of financial professionals out there that don't have the credentialing, they don't have the background. They don't have the proper training, and they become generalists in everything they're doing. Not everybody, but a good part of the business.
And, we recognized over the years, Jason, that was a model that didn't necessarily serve the individual client the way that the individual client deserves to be served. And I want to start this conversation by talking about the fact that we're going to talk about why it's important for an individual, the end client, the person heading into retirement or already retired, that they have a team of professionals and not just an individual. Because when you think about all of the things that go into retirement planning, getting people to retirement and through retirement, it's a lot more than just investments. There is taxes, there is risk management, there is estate planning, and yes, there's the investment side of things, but then there's also the non-financial side of things of really coaching people through that experience that they're going to go into that new phase of their life. And so there's a lot of different factors that go into crafting a good retirement plan. And so we said, you know what, we need to have that team of professionals together, because what we did was we reflected back on what the ultra high net worth people do. The ultra high net worth people, they expect that once a year or twice a year, their CPA, their attorney, their risk management expert, and their investment expert are all going to be in the same room listening to that individual and collaborating on behalf of that individual to craft the best possible plan for them. But the average millionaire next door not only doesn't expect that, they don't even know that it exists, Jason.
Absolutely. When I was in practice, I spent 16 years in the seat as a financial advisor. I typically served that $1 to $10 million relationship, right? That was pretty much my core client. But I had a handful of clients that had a lot of money. I had one family in particular, about $100 million in assets. And you're right, Dean, 3-4 times a year, we got together with them. It was me and my team. It was the tax professional on their team. It was the estate planner on their team. It was the business attorney on their team, all in one board meeting. Throughout the day, each discipline would come in and meet with that family. And I mean, what an eye opener for me, right? My typical client was $1 to $10 million. And that's not what happened. We would come in and we would talk to them about their financial plan and their investments. And it wasn't really until I had that experience with that family, and then really, honestly, getting to see you and your team in action with all the disciplines, that was a real eye-opener, right? How do we bring that to the millionaire next door? That client that wants, needs, desires, I believe should have access to good financial advice, most of the time is not getting it. Right? They're getting bits and pieces of it and not coordinated.
And sometimes it's broken. I want to think about it this way, Jason. My view is that when somebody heads into retirement, they become the CEO of their retirement. And the reason I say become the CEO is because the CEO is the visionary. They're the person within an organization that sets the direction, the pace, that says, here's where we want to go. This is what we want to do. This is what we want to accomplish. And so the client really is the CEO. They're laying out the direction, the vision of their life, of what they want to see happen over a course of time. And then the people that CEO employs are the tax experts, the investment experts, the legal experts, the risk management experts, and the investment experts. And can you imagine the CEO of any company saying, look, I don't need to hire all those people. I can be the chief tax guy. I can be the chief legal guy. I can be the chief investment guy. It's not possible. That company would fail in a heartbeat. And people don't even realize how much they miss when they're not able to work with that team of professionals. And we have, I say very fortunately, Jason, been able to bring that team of professionals together under the modern wealth management umbrella at the same price that the average advisor is charging just to manage money.
Yeah, I agree. I like to think of it as like the generalist versus the specialist, right? And I know when I got into this business, I was definitely a generalist. I worked for a big firm and we had lots of things that we could offer. That doesn't mean I should have been offering those things to clients, right. But it meant that I could. And so I became, at that time, a generalist. Whatever you needed, we had it. And I had somebody in the firm that was an expert on that thing that could teach me so that I could talk to the client. I think the business has radically evolved and changed in a very good way. And that, I talked to you about this earlier today on a prior meeting, kind of having the 3 C's in the room, right? And I don't know of very many firms that have the 3 C's in the same room working on behalf of the client. But this is what I would encourage people to do. Find a great financial planner, CFP. That's the first C. And you start with that plan so you can draw the expedition of retirement out, right? You're saying a CEO.
Create the vision.
I agree with you. Yeah, be the CEO. Draw that plan. But work with somebody to help you understand what you want your life to look and be like, how you want life to unfold. Somebody to challenge your thinking, frankly. I mean, that's what a good planner should be doing. And then I think the second C, after we know the plan, let's understand what the tax consequences are. Let's understand how we can minimize the federal government and in a lot of states, the state government. How do we minimize their partnership in your income distribution or income plan going forward, right? I think it's super important. That's far more important than getting investments right or insurance right or the estate plan right. If we can get the plan right and we can get the tax person working together, the second C, the CPA, then I think we have a great first combination. And then lastly, when it comes to investments, it's that third C, the CFA. the person who that's their day job. That's all they do, right? They're not meeting with clients. They're not tinkering with plans. They're not talking about tax. They're not talking about risk or other things in a person's life. Their full, undivided attention and energy is focused exclusively on picking great investments and building portfolios and doing diligence and building models. Now, not all investments work at all times. I'm not saying that. But having those three C's, the CFP, the CPA, and the CFA working in a coordinated way is very powerful for the client.
Well, and if you think about it, Jason, I would venture to guess that most people listening to this, unless they're clients of Modern Wealth Management, they don't have that. They have an individual. They have a financial advisor. And you and I know enough people within the industry that when we tell them what we're doing and how we serve to our clients, they're like, oh my gosh, how in the world did you guys put that together? Well, I feel like it's important because what generally I saw happening over time, Jason, was that individual, who I'll call the CEO still, they get stuck in the middle. And they go have a conversation with the estate planning attorney, and then they go have a conversation with their CPA or their tax professional. Then they go have a conversation with their insurance person. Then they go have a conversation with their financial advisor. Well, guess what? Every single one of those people speak a different language, and something always gets lost in translation. And so mistakes get made, and those mistakes can be hugely costly. And that's what we wanted to try to avoid for that average millionaire next door, is get that coordinated team together so that everybody's on the same page with what you're trying to do and what's important to you, so that they can work out the best plan possible. They can talk amongst each other. They don't even have to have you in the room. They could listen, and then they can collaborate on your behalf. And I think that is huge.
Yeah, I like that you say the CEO role, because I've worked in some large organizations, some mid-sized organizations, and small organizations, and the CEO always is setting direction, right? That's what you're doing with your retirement plan. You're setting for your team the point in where you want to go, right? You're telling them how you want, again, life to unfold. And great CEOs hire great teams to make sure that they've set the vision, and that's what everybody's goal is to deliver that vision. And that's what a great financial planning team does, not a great financial planner or professional. But again, those three C's or the other professionals in a person's life can really make an impact. It becomes significant, that advice and that coordination. I actually sent a referral into the firm a few months ago, and I got a text message from them not long after they went in and met with their team. And it said, wow, for the first time, I have a planner, a tax professional, and an investment professional all in the same virtual room at the same time working on our behalf. This is cool stuff. I mean, that was the message, right? It was the first time they had real clarity around their financial life and choices. And it was because they were all working together on behalf of that client to benefit their direction, where they want life to go.
Right. And I think it's really important that we don't minimize the role of the individual client, because they're the boss. They're the driver, right? They're the ones that if they're not clear on what they want to have happen, this is why we spend so much time in discovery of really talking to that individual, understanding what they want, understanding where they want to go, their objectives, their dreams. And until we understand that, it's really difficult for the team to come together and actually begin to go to work for them. And the beautiful thing about being the CEO, somebody messes something up, what do? You fire them. Okay, so you know that you've set the direction, you've set the pace, you've said this is what I want, and this is what I'm looking for. Now, if it's unrealistic, it needs to be explained that it's unrealistic. But if you've set a clear vision and you've got the team to execute on that vision, if they mess up, then that's on them. You fire them and find another team. And I think that's the beautiful part about working with an advisory firm. And people need to know this. You should work with an advisory firm that works for a fee from you. And as long as they're providing value, their fees will become a non-issue. I've always said that fees only become an issue in the absence of value. If you're not adding value, if your team's not adding value, then you shouldn't be paying them fees. So I think people should really reflect after listening to the podcast here, watching us on YouTube, however they're taking it in. Am I getting that type of service from my team? Are they really listening to me? Do they really understand what it is that I want? Because if they don't, it'll be impossible for them to do a good job for you.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. And that is, your team is on your payroll, right?
Yes,
and you get to determine how your payroll is spent. And I love that, right? I think the other thing that we shouldn't forget is that if that team is coordinated and they're working on behalf of the client, that client has a lot of confidence that they're doing the right things with their money, right? Because again, it's coordinated, it's that team. And if we get it right, they have confidence, again, that they're doing the right things with their money. The second thing it does is it frees them from financial worry, right? They can lay their head on their pillow at night knowing that they have a team of professionals that know exactly what you're trying to accomplish and what it takes to help you get there. And so you can sleep at night. Your shoulders should go down after you leave that meeting. You should be more relaxed. And if we get that right, confidence that you're doing the right things with the money, free from financial worry, a good planning team actually creates time in your life, time that you can spend with the people you love doing the things you enjoy. And that's really when everything is working well. And again, I just don't think that you've said this strongly enough, and that these professionals are on your payroll.
Absolutely.
You get to decide.
Absolutely. And that is exactly the way that it should be. And I think that as we reach more individuals and they get to see, oh, this is what I should expect, things will change. And it will definitely change the landscape of our industry. And we've already seen that in many different cases where people are saying, well, okay, I'm going to find a CPA that we can refer business back and forth, or I'll find an estate planning attorney to refer business back and forth, or we'll find a great separate account manager. Still, you have the same problem that you had before, is that everybody doesn't know what your vision and direction is. And so that makes it very difficult for them to have a coordinated effort to help you.
Yeah, they have a very narrow view based on their specialty and how they're trying to help you accomplish a goal. But if your goals are changing based on the discussion you're having with different professionals, it doesn't matter that specialty advice is still ultimately just focused on that one thing that professional is being asked to accomplish. You know, I mentioned this to you again earlier in that meeting, that, you know, a lot of CPAs, their job is to tell you what happened,
right,
not what could happen in the future, right? The way it was actually said to me, the thing a CPA is good for is to count the dead on the battlefield, right? Not predict how the battle might unfold. And we want the planner and the tax person and the investment person all working together to predict the future to help improve your financial outcome in life.
So let's put a little bow on this thing then, Jason, because I'm glad you brought up the role of the CPA. Now, I will say, I know a lot of CPAs, and most of them, you're right, their job is to count the dead on the battlefield. And the reason that that's their job is because they're not equipped to project. They're not equipped to do a forward-looking tax plan. And the reason they're not equipped to do a forward-looking tax plan has nothing to do with their competency. It has everything to do with they don't know everything about that individual's financial situation. They only see what that individual brings them between January 1st and April 15th to prepare their taxes. Mm-hmm. When that CPA is working alongside the CFP, and they clearly understand all of the resources and they understand the objective, then they can start to forecast forward 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. We can even go to the next generation and control taxes over a lifetime. And once you've done that, so you've got the plan, now you've mitigated taxes, now all of a sudden you have the answer that everybody, the answer to the question that everybody has, which is, how should my money be invested? Because now you know exactly what your money needs to do. Then we go to that third C, the CFA, the Chartered Financial Analyst, and they design the portfolio specifically for that individual, specifically for you, the CEO, and it's all coordinated together. And it's a beautiful thing when it all comes together.
Yeah, once you know how much fuel you're going to need or how much power you need behind that plan, i.e. the investments, that's when that investment strategy gets put in place. And now we're totally coordinated and working together.
Right. So as opposed to making an investment decision based on our two strongest emotions, fear and greed, you're actually making a logical, informed, and intelligent decision when it comes to the construction of your portfolio.
Yeah. And that's all investing is powering financial plans to success.
Right.
That's all it is.
But there's so much that goes into the planning process prior to even having a discussion around the investment. And that's why you put the CFA at the third level. Not because they're less important, but because they can't do their job properly until the CFP and the CPA have done their job.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Diagnostic work first, solutions next.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's really planning, and the tax is diagnostics. It's exploration. It's figuring out what needs to happen, and then having that other professional step in to make it happen.
Well, Jason, I couldn't be more excited about the future for, our clients, the future for new clients that come on board, to really be able to experience how this can give you that confidence, that freedom, and that time that you talked about. When you're working, you've got all those things. You know how much money you're making. Everything's crystal clear. You know how much is going to taxes. You know how much you're saving. You know what your vacation time is. When you transition into that second phase of life, that retirement phase of life, you need that confidence and that freedom to create the time so that you can actually say, I can go do what I want to do because I already know everything's taken care of. And I'm excited for people to be able to experience that more and more and more all across the country through the great CFPs and CPAs and CFAs at Modern Wealth Management.
Yeah, you and me both. I'm excited as well. And I'd just like to say thanks for having me, Dean. And I always enjoy the podcast, and I was excited to get the invite.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you here, Jason. Thanks again for being part of the Guided Retirement Show. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much.
Thank you again for joining me here on the Guided Retirement Show. I'm your host, Dean Barber. As always, we welcome questions, comments, and we want to talk to you. We want to help you. So you can find a link in the show notes where you'll be able to request a meeting with one of our certified financial planners so you can begin to discover how you can get the confidence, freedom, and time in your life that you deserve. Don't forget, we're offering you access to the same financial planning tools we use for our own clients. Just get out to the link in the show notes and click the Start Planning button and begin your retirement plan from the comfort of your own home.
Starting your route to retirement.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to leave a comment and share this episode with your friends.
Investment advisory services offered through Modern Wealth Management, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.